I'm Joseph Nardi, and welcome to Movement, the story of my life. I told myself when I turned 50 years old, I would make some sort of autobiographical, creative work chronicling the first 50 years of my life. And this is it. In the movie, you will see, whether you're watching the shortened version or the extended version, my three passions: martial arts, movies, and metaphysics, all dealing with kinetic movement. So I hope you enjoy watching it and have as much fun with it as I had living it and making it. It was a passion project, and it took a lot of discipline to get this movie made. The version you're watching, I hope you have a great time, and thank you for helping me on this incredible journey. The story of a boy who became a student, the story of a student who became a teacher, and the story of a teacher who became a master. So how'd I get here? How'd this happen? To figure that out, we'd have to go back to the beginning. I was born on the coldest day of the year. That's right, January 25th, 1972. My father, John, had served in the Vietnam War in the Army as far back as 1968.
When he returned home from the war, since he was the only son, they were very happy he was safe and sound. He promptly decided to marry my mother, whom he had been with since they were about, 12 years old. But on May 1st, 1971, Dorothy and John became a married couple. And 9 months later, I was born. My papu, or my grandfather in Italy as they call him, was the original Joseph Nardi, named from a grandfather to a grandson. Now I was named for him. He was so excited he was handing out cigars in the street to strangers. Whether it's my aunts, my godmother, my godfathers, my mother's side or my father's side, my family was extremely close-knit. Although I wasn't alone for long, my brother John was born 3 years later, and my sister Lisa joined us 6 years later. I was very fortunate because my cousin's family was as close to me as I was to them, and my best friend Charlie, who was my cousin, we were nearly inseparable for 20 years, going to college together, making movies. Okay, so from a very young child, I was very animated. I would, wear masks, make masks. For some reason, I thought I was King Kong. I think it was because that was the first movie I saw, and it just imprinted on my brain so strongly. I was almost 3, and I sat through this movie, and I couldn't understand what I was seeing. I didn't understand how it could fit in this little TV, this little black and white TV. How do you fit these dinosaurs and this giant gorilla in a television set? How does that happen? I couldn't figure it out. So to me, that was very much about the kinetic energy of that movie. And, the stop motion animation is really kind of surreal. And I dug all that. And it stayed with me for my whole life. So, King Kong is my favorite movie character. It's the movie that's been with me the longest. All the different iterations and versions of King Kong. As a child, movement had always been something that had captured my imagination. I know as an infant, I had kicked out the feet in my onesies, pajamas. I'd kick. And my mom said that I wore out the bottoms until my feet came through. So there was this kicking, this movement. And I think that was the first indication that movement was something that was going to be a big part of my life as an infant. As I got older, I was very animated. As I said, I would watch these movies and I would use my imagination. I was basically making movies as a kid without a camera. I'd tell this person, come on over here. You're going to be, the Scarecrow, or you're going to be the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, and I'm going to be the Scarecrow. And here, my mom, you're going to be Dorothy, and, my brother's going to be the Tin Man, or my brother's going to be the Lion, and my dad's going to be the Tin Man, and we're going to do The Wizard of Oz, and we'll put the music on. I was making movies. When I was 6, I got the Star Wars double LP. I put that music on, and I would react the whole movie as all the characters in my room by myself. A 6-year-old kid, I'd be R2-D2, I'd be Chewbacca, I'd be this, I'd be that. I'd just go through the whole movie. I do that with all the movies I knew. But the music was very, I think, instrumental, because what I would do is I'd put that music on. That John Williams, he's got that real beautiful, harmonious music. It's symphonic and it's uplifting, and I would feel the hair raising on my neck, which now they call ASMR. I was having what is considered a spiritual experience by raising the vibration of my energy by listening to this music. So from a very young age, two things. I loved movement. I was just completely fascinated with not only my own movement, but other people's movements, especially in movies. And I was like a leader director. I was like, okay, you come over here, you do this, you do that. I was making movies without a camera. I didn't know it. I didn't even know what a screenwriter was or a director was. I just knew that I was using my imagination to play these games and to have fun. I think that being a young child, I had screamed so loud as an infant that I herniated myself. And I had to go in for an operation when I was about 4 years old. And something happened. My parents didn't know that they could stay overnight and sleep in the next bed there in the hospital room with me. And so the first night I was there, I stayed alone. And I was kind of, I don't think I didn't freak out or anything. I was very brave. But I think it worked on me, because the next night they were able to stay, until this operation was complete and I went home. But when I got home, I had nightmares for months. And I think that was the start of my separation anxiety, which was very much because genetically my entire family is hardwired to be OCD. I mean, we all have it to some degree. But OCD can be very debilitating. And as a young child, that OCD, I had a lot of nervous energy. I had a lot of times where I would imagine crazy things that were going to happen to me or my parents, and I would just, I'd be off and running. And I didn't even know that I was obsessive compulsive until I was 25 years old. So I might have been in, I think, second grade. And, my mom had packed my lunch. I had the lunchbox. I was eating the lunch. And there was a napkin with, I don't know, there were animals or something on it that I liked. And I didn't want to throw the napkin away because it reminded me of my mother. And I thought if I threw it away, something bad will happen to my mother. And that's classic OCD. And there's a little voice went off in my head. And it's like, Joe, this won't do. And I realized at that point that I had some things to overcome, inside. I was in pretty good health. I had a really great childhood. I want to say that. My parents provided a great childhood for myself and my brother and my sister. There's always food on the table. Got all the things we wanted for Christmas. They were very, very generous. Rarely would they say no, although they would say no. There was punishments. We were never beaten or abused. Everything was very, very good. Aside from the sibling rivalry between my brother and my sister, which I think is just it's just a normal part of growing up with siblings. I was very extroverted, and I started to turn inward, and this was going to be a problem because when you present yourself as an inward person, there are bullies that will see that, and they will look at you and they will say, oh, this guy's a wimp. He's a scaredy cat, whatever. He's all, presenting himself inward. He's closed off. And they'll use that against you. They will use that. Bullies are very outspoken. They're very loud. They want to be the focus of attention. They want to be known. So when they see somebody who's the reverse of that, it's kind of like the yin to their yang. They have to go and engage that. That was something that started in second grade. I remember having a bully for no reason other than he said something like, you're too good in class, or the teacher likes you. I don't know what he did. But he grabbed me by the lapels of my jacket and he threw me up against this fence by the playground there, right where, the school, wherever we got out of school. And he started boom, boom, with both fists right into my gut. That first hit knocked the wind out of me. I remember my knapsack hit the ground, my books went flying. I was getting pummeled by this kid. And there was a girl standing by, and she was the only one who helped me kind of pick up my books after that, because I was pretty much in tears. I think it wasn't so much I was physically hurt, but I was embarrassed that somebody could just, whip you around like a rag doll and just, punch you and pummel you. So I remember sitting there on the ground when I was composing myself, and I looked at my little hand and I made a fist. And I was very small. I was a very puny, anemic, frail kid. I did not hit my growth spurt until I was like 15. And I just looked at my little tiny hand and I thought, how is this going to help me? How is this fist going to do anything? If this ever happens again. And that was the first moment I realized I had to change.